All right, welcome. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating piece of source material that digs into something you might have never even thought about, a tiny difference in language that could, honestly, change how you see everything. It's all about a pronoun, believe it or not, but the implications are just huge, so let's dive right in. So here it is, the big question right up front. Is the kingdom of God an it, or is it a him? I mean, do we talk about it like it's a thing, a place, a system of rules? Or is it a person, a living presence? What we're going to explore today argues that this is way more than just a grammar lesson. It actually gets to the very heart of what faith is all about. So, here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 5 simple steps. First, we'll look at that core it or him question. Then, we'll figure out where this kingdom is supposed to be. After that, we'll do a little detective work on some ancient words, redefine a really important concept, and finally, pull it all together. It's going to be a fun journey. Okay, section 1, it or him. On the surface, this feels kind of nitpicky, right? Just a pronoun? But the source material we're looking at insists that the word you choose completely shapes how you understand the kingdom and, more importantly, how you interact with it. And this slide really lays it all out. When we think of the kingdom as an it, we're talking about a concept, something you study, or a system, something you follow, or maybe even an institution, something built by people. But if you see the kingdom as a him, everything changes. It's not a concept, it's God's personal rule. It's not a system, it's an active presence. It's not an institution, it's the Spirit literally living inside of you. That is a radically different way of looking at things. So let's follow that thread. If the kingdom is this personal him, the next logical question is, well, where is he? Where do we find this kingdom? And the answer isn't on any map of the world. It's on an inner one. And this, right here, this is the cornerstone for the whole idea. This verse from the Gospel of Luke, "Behold, the kingdom of God is inside you." That one sentence completely flips the script. The king's domain, his domain, isn't some place you go to in the future. It's not some organization on earth. It's an internal reality. It's inside your own conscience. Okay, so check out this metaphor. It's pretty powerful. Think back to the ancient tabernacle in the Old Testament. It had that super sacred inner room, right? The most holy place, or the Holy of Holies. That was where God's presence was said to dwell. Now, fast forward to the New Testament, and the writers start saying, hey, you, the believer, you are the new temple. So if that's true, then what's the new most holy place? Well, it has to be your most sacred inner space, your conscience. And think about what was in that original most holy place. It was the Ark of the Covenant, holding the 10 Commandments carved on stone tablets. But in this new inner temple of the conscience, the argument goes, God's law isn't on stone anymore. It's not external. It's written directly on your heart. It's the new place from which God rules. Now, if your conscience is a holy temple, that brings up a really practical question. How do you keep it clean? How do you maintain it? And to answer that, we've got to put on our detective hats and crack the code of an ancient Greek word. The word is aphesis. Now, if you look in most modern Bibles, you'll see this translated as forgiveness. And when we hear forgiveness, we usually think of a legal pardon, like a judge letting someone off the hook. But the source material makes a crucial point. The original meaning was much more physical. It meant a release, a letting go, or most importantly, a cleansing, like washing something with water or blood. And this verse from the book of Hebrews really drives it home. This connects aphesis right back to our temple idea. The context here isn't a courtroom trial. It's about the purification rituals of the tabernacle. So the point isn't just about pardoning a crime. It's about the literal act of cleansing a holy space that has been defiled so that it can be used for its sacred purpose again. And here's why that distinction is so important. In this view, sin isn't just a broken rule, it's a contaminant. It defiles that inner temple, the conscience. And when that happens, it basically quenches or pushes out God's presence. The Spirit can't live in a defiled space. And that makes this cleansing, this aphesis, absolutely critical if you want to maintain that inner relationship. This whole idea of cleansing leads us straight to another big word, one whose real meaning, according to this source, has been hiding in plain sight the whole time. We're talking about atonement, and it's maybe less about paying a debt and a whole lot more about a reunion. I mean, just look at the word itself. Break it down. At-One-ment. It's not a mystery. The word was literally created back in the 16th century to describe the state of being at one with someone. It means to reconcile, to bring two separated parties back together. So this shifts the whole focus away from a legal transaction to restoring a broken relationship. And here is where it all clicks together beautifully. Why do you need that cleansing, that aphesis we just talked about? Well, it's to make at-one-ment possible. You have to cleanse the inner temple so that God and you can be reunited, to be made at one again in that sacred inner space. The cleansing is what makes the reconciliation possible. See how it fits? Okay, so let's put all the puzzle pieces on the table. We've talked about where the kingdom is, how it's maintained, and why it's maintained. And it all leads right back to our very first question. And it gives us a really clear answer. When you look at it this way, the kingdom has to be a him. It's just not some abstract idea you think about. It's a living, active reality. It is the personal rule of God, happening right now from inside a cleansed conscience. The source even calls it an intermixing of your spirit with God's spirit, and that inner reality becomes the very source of real righteousness, peace, and joy. And really, this is the bottom line. This is the big idea that ties it all together. If the kingdom is God ruling from within a conscience that has been cleansed and made at one with Him, then it's not a destination you're striving to get to. It's not an it at all. It's a Him, a person that you are living with, day by day, moment by moment, inside that sacred space. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. If you really take this on board, if the kingdom is a Him, not an it, does that fundamentally change the way you approach your own faith? Does it make it less about following external rules and more about nurturing an internal relationship? Something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.